Hello, welcome to the next lesson of this course in which I'll be doing a brief explanation of what we'll do. Basically, what we'll do in this key moment of this course will be looking for several images that can be the factor that represents basically the image we want to represent. Depending on the level of illustration experience each of you has, what we'll do is select these images as a guide in order to later analyze them a bit, etc. I'm showing you the images we can find on the internet, which just googling landscapes you can find all these series of graphics in which the photographs are represented on the screen. And as you can see, the most noticeable feature is composition and light. From there, in this lesson, we'll explain the concept of clarity in a drawing regarding the perspective. So we have an object. This object is at a certain distance of us. So depending on the distance at which that object is, it can seem as it is a darker shade of color than an object that is further away. We're going to use this square as an example. This square is at a short distance from us. The second square will be at an even further distance from us, so it should be a lighter shade of color. Okay, so in order to set a clearer example, no pun intended, I'll draw a third square so you see how it would look. We can barely see the square itself, so imagine how far it must be. The only thing I can add to, as a result of this brief explanation, which is a bit basic, just to guide you, is that it also depends on the shape of the object and the lighting it features. For example, in this image I found on the internet, first we'll analyze its composition. In order to do this, I lowered the opacity of the image and I lay a series of lines over it which will help me discover its structure. In case of this landscape, with some mountains and a lake, what we'll discover is that the lake reflects partially the top half of the image, so we'll have something simple to find its structure. We'll focus mainly in the color palette and on this quite geometric composition we just did. Right now, we're not looking to make a very detailed landscape or a landscape with many peaks or curves. We're just looking for the simplicity of the image. For this, we'll reduce the color palette, which we can do two ways, either pixelizing the image or creating a mosaic using a filter. This is one of the ways to do it. As you can see, our color palette has been reduced compared to the spots line I previously did. The second option I was telling you about is using the crystallize filter. This way, we'll get a richer range of colors and in different quantity that besides showing us the weight of the colors in the image, it will give us a more diverse color palette, so to speak. Here we have these two examples. I recommend the second one, since being a bit more complex, it can help our creativity when expressing ourselves. This would be the example I wanted to show you from the beginning. I'm going to use this second image to repeat it just in case it isn't clear. I'll also try to apply a light spot on the image so you can see the origin of its power. For example, the light point of this image is at the center, a bit elevated. What I mean is that the main focal point will be that one. Though there's trees and a way, it will center our sight in that point. I would also recommend you to use royalty-free images in case that you'd like to publish them in a more professional way, or you can try to make your own images yourselves using a camera. You can do this with all the images you want. I chose this one in order to make a simple explanation of what we're going to do throughout the course. I remind you this is not any kind of explanation of concept art or being a master of landscape drawing. It's just for you to have a better understanding of composition and color palette when doing very synthesized scenography, and in case a client ordered this product, he can easily understand it. So I hope I helped you. See you in the next lesson.